Hey everyone, another day, another handheld, with this one being the KinHank K36. The KinHank 36 has come a bit out of nowhere as a new vertical RK3326 handheld that comes in white, transparent purple or transparent black colourways, with the same crunchy shoulder buttons and bottom joystick style setup that we've seen a couple of times before. Inside the box, we've got quite a relatively detailed but unfortunately roughly translated instruction booklet, as well as a USB-A to C cable and neatly a microSD to USB adapter. In terms of specs, the K36 is powered by the tried and tested RK3326, which gives us access to some but far from all of the Dreamcast and Nintendo 64 catalogues. We've got 1 gig of RAM, a respectable 3.5-inch 640 by 480 resolution display, and a 3500 mAh battery. We unfortunately do not have any Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connectivity, which is a real shame, and a weight of around 190 grams. Firmware is a relatively open version of emulate Linux firmware. In terms of first impressions, the K36 shell design isn't too bad, although admittedly is a rather familiar setup by now. We have some relatively comfortable back bumpers, which make the crunchy style back buttons easily accessible. On top, we've got the 2 USB-C ports and a headphone jack, and on the right side, power and reset buttons, as well as the micro SD card slot, while on the left side, the volume buttons. Underneath, we've got the speaker grill, and that is pretty much it overall. So it is a familiar but on the whole pretty comfortable shell design as long as you are playing D-pad first. The controls of the K36 actually ended up being a neat surprise. The face buttons feel a bit more compact than most, but crucially avoid recessing all the way into the shell, and have little rattle to them, making them relatively responsive overall. I'm not a huge fan of the joystick or their placement. They actually have a relatively decent travel to them, but I personally find them positioned to be just a tad too low to play comfortably in conjunction with the back buttons especially. The D-pad turned out to be quite a nice surprise, as I normally do not get on with the long but thin style of D-pad, and although I find precise input to be touch and go, it does avoid the common mistake of recessing too far into the shell, and consequently has a really nice pivot to it, making multi-directional input so much easier to pull off, and additionally making it quite the natural D-pad for fighting games, though an admittedly awkward one for precision platformers. Although I'm not the best fan of the crunchy style back buttons, the shell bumpers and natural curves at least make them easy to press, and they're admittedly not the loudest style I've seen, so overall not too bad. Out of the box, we've got a pretty open version of the emulate firmware, which gives us a lot of customization and flexibility to the setup of the firmware itself. It is a real shame that both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity are missing from the handheld, as it strips away the ease of use for retro achievements and updates, but at least the full suite of customization options are available. One quirk I did notice though was that the default K36 theme actually hid a lot of the active systems, despite them being toggled on within emulate itself. This is easily fixable from switching away from the default theme though, and I have raised this to KinHank themselves as an issue, so fingers crossed it is resolved at some point. Anyway, I'll cut some emulation footage now before summarising back up at the end. So, to summarise best I can, the KinHank K36 is one of those handhelds that if I were to first get into handhelds, or specifically was bought it as a gift with no prior knowledge of the handheld community, I think I'd actually be pretty happy with it overall. Although I personally wouldn't actively be seeking it out due to its familiar design, joystick placement and lack of wireless capabilities. That's it for now though. Thanks so much for watching.